Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the A to B podcast, your number one source for military entrepreneurship and entertainment. We are here in part 2 with Gunnery Sergeant Carlos de los Santos, otherwise known as El Gunny on TikTok, okay? So we were talking, and I think we talked a lot whenever it came, and that we were kind of going all over the place, but I think we had a very meaningful conversation of, a career within the first, I would say, 5-6 years, and everything that entitles. So if you guys want to see everything or part 1 of this podcast, make sure that you guys check it out either in this corner or this corner. I never know where it's going to be at. But, brother, thank you for being back with us on another gracious episode.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Let's jump right on it, right? So we were talking about in part 1 that your first duty station was 29 Palms.
Yes, sir.
Then from there, you went to Hawaii. I came to find that out off camera, right? How was that? Was there a lot of attacks going on? A lot of Seaburn attacks going on in Hawaii?
No. So before we get into that, 29 Palms. I was third LAR, but then I went to First Tanks.
So you were from also good.
Yeah, third LAR, First Tanks. Love First Tanks. Hey, RIP, miss them, But that's where I had great leadership, and that's what made me re-enlist, right? And that's why I went to great leadership there, deployed with them, amazing. Probably for me, it's even though been 15 years, First Tank's probably the best unit I've been with. And that's just my personal
Wow.
So how many years were you in LAR for?
So a year and 3 months.
Okay. Oh. And you were just like you said, you were just kind of like, you know what? Screw this. I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I'll do my forward and get out.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I was saying they broke us apart, and then I had PCA orders to 1-7, but then the master guns at First Tanks wanted me to play soccer for First Tanks. So then he was like, look at your MOL the next day. Your order's going to change. I'm going to get rid of my Seaburn dude. You're going to come to First Tanks.
Wow, that's
Master
a crack deal.
Gun, he's always working crack deals, man.
That's a crack deal.
Because it was like, if you go to 1-7, you're never going to come play. You're never going to have time to play. So then I went over to First Tanks. I was a draft pick. Made me feel good,
Yeah, hell yeah.
But then, I deployed with them, and, got to go as PSD, got to take an 03 billet, roll from Kabul to Mazar-i Sharif, down to the Helmand province, and to Herat. So great time. That's what we'll go on to what made me re-enlist, right?
What were some of the things that, you mentioned you had much better leadership at First Tanks. Were there things you can remember where you're like, wow, this is different?
Instantly. So my chief warrant officer, gave me that opportunity. I checked in, and then a month later, it's like, hey, there's a billet. Do you want to deploy? I was like, I'll do it, right? I didn't really join to deploy. I went to change my life. The opportunity came, I took it.
Sure.
And then even before that, the Master Guns that called me over, Master Guns Castillo, he's retired now. Love the dude. Great dude. He's a Texan as well. So he took me under his wing.
Yeah.
But
your people from Texas have a weird
for sure.
thing.
And this is where I learned, I was a Lance Corporal when I met him. And this is where I learned, he taught me what, being professional, but then also having a relationship outside of, the uniform.
Sure.
That Master Guns, once, we deployed together, did everything, so we got even closer.
But was he a Master Guns when you deployed with? Oh, okay.
So, once we came back, of course, we were closer and everything, and he would have me over at his house for dinner, him and his family,
Wow.
And then which for me, I'm a corporal. I'm like, this is kind of, I didn't know this would happen. So, he'd pour me a glass of Presidente, be drinking it, hanging out with his family.
Was he Dominican?
No, he was Mexican.
Presidente, that's a Dominican beer,
He
ain't
loved rum. He loved that rum.
Oh, but no, but Presidente, that's a Dominican beer.
No, it's a dark rum that he got.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we would, he'd have me over at that time, but he told me, never, I'm Ishmael at my house. But where I'm work, I'm Master Guns. And I never forgot that. And every time I work, he chewed my ass. I took it. Yes, Master Gunner Sergeant. That was my fault, Master Gunner Sergeant. And, then he'd have me over. At first it was weird, but I was like, oh, yeah, Ishmael, this and that. He let me,
Did you have a hard time calling him Ishmael at first?
I did.
Was it oh my gosh, is this a setup?
Yeah, I thought it was a setup, but he taught, like I said, he taught me that to be able to separate it. So I think because of that, it made me who I am now. I can be carefree, relax, kind of relate with my Marines, right? But he's him and a Sergeant Salcedo. He's still in it. He's a master right now. He was Intel at the time, and he's gone up with a MARSOC doing great things. He was my like mentor from 3rd LAR that also helped me out so that I would re-enlist. So like these two great, you know, and the Chief Warrant Officer Trevino, he retired in 2019. Shout out to him as well. Great leader as well. And they got me to want to re-enlist, right? So I re-enlisted. Then I went to Hawaii. And going to Hawaii was... I appreciated it so much compared to 29 Palms.
I bet. It's a fucking completely different scheme.
And I think what I noticed was Marines that it was their first duty station weren't taking advantage of Hawaii at all.
Right.
So like I was...
You come from 29 Palms on the other hand.
I was at the beach. No, I checked into 2-3 though. And instantly, so far at that point...
At what rank? As a sergeant?
As a corporal.
As a corporal.
So technically every unit at that time was all ground side, you know. 3rd LAR, first tanks, now...
So you got to
2-3.
first tanks, you immediately deploy,
Yep.
you finish a deployment, and then you PCS.
I did a year... I was almost 2 years in first tanks.
Okay, now a little bit on the master guns. Did he do this for other Marines? Or why do you think... Or was it just you? Was it just you having dinner at his house?
Me and what I would consider my bromance. Like, he was my Marine, he was my Lance Corporal. And, like, we got super tight. White dude from Michigan, Dustin Johnson. Now he's a cop out in Detroit and doing great things, right?
He's seen some real combat.
Yeah, he's seen...
I was going
He
to
probably
say...
saw more combat in Detroit
yeah.
than he's seen in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Oh, yeah, he didn't get to deploy or anything. He got out medically. You know, they messed up his shoulder and everything. So, like, he wanted to drive. You know, he's been doing a whole bunch of things. But now he's a cop, and he loves it. That's what he wanted. He wanted that and never had it. But he would have us over, and I don't know, maybe it's because I reminded him of his son, which I met his son later on in life, you know, and I think like a year older than me.
Was he a Marine or no?
Yeah, he was a Marine. He was Ishmael Castillo. He's the junior.
Wow.
And maybe that's what it was, right? I reminded me of his son, and like when I met his son, me and him were like, we call ourselves the liberal risk crew. Like we were wild.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe he saw that potential, right?
Yeah.
And he saw the struggles I was going through, and maybe he, you know, wanted to show me that there is another side of the Marine Corps, not what I was living. You know, what I was.
Very
feeling.
good.
So that had a big impact on you that, you know, you had a Master Guns who basically was able to like humanize the rank and show you there's more to this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I didn't have a father figure. I wouldn't say so much to say he was a father figure, but he was definitely a great mentor. Amazing mentor that I will take it till this day.
I think that's legit. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, what do you think?
I think so too. I guess there could be some people in the comments that might say, well, wouldn't that be fraternization? Because I think, you know, and I think that's where you were going whenever you asked that question of like, was he doing this for somebody else or with everybody else? The fact of the matter is, I don't think it really should matter. There was nothing inappropriate going on. That's where people mess it up.
You guys didn't hug each other with no. I'm kidding.
No, I promise you, I got no special treatment at work. If I messed up,
And that's what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking fraternization, but yeah, in that case, like, okay, can Marines look at you and go, okay, well, this guy got put up for meritorious board. He's getting picked for all the special stuff.
I've never been put on meritorious boards.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, are you getting the preferential treatment, you know, in the workplace because you're spending this off time with the Master Guns? If not, to me, that's professional, I think.
No.
Yeah, and it's okay. Like, humans will be freaking humans. Like, why does the Marine Corps, or not even the Marine Corps, like Marine leaders need to overcomplicate that stuff? Like, if you want to set a barrier, like, that's it. Like, set a barrier, but just know what comes with that barrier, and it's that people will look at you as an outsider. You know, like, and people that usually put those barriers up are people that are, I want to say this word, but it's because of a lack of words, not because I think all of them are pieces of shit. But usually the people that put up that barrier is because they're pieces of shit in their actual, like, life.
He's very descriptive.
I was never afraid. If something like that happened, I was never afraid in order for me to be myself around other people, because I was myself as my rank.
Yeah.
You know, like, I understood my position. Matter of fact, I did what that Master Guns did, but I did it with the people, the Marines that I recruited that were stationed here. because those were like my little, not my little kids. I don't like to call them little kids, but those were like my little brothers and sisters. You know, like I mentored them for them to be in the Marine Corps, and I was so proud of seeing them like now becoming Marines, and some of them starting families, getting militarily promoted. So I would have them around in my house and all that stuff. And again, they weren't in my chain of command. None of them were in my chain of command or anything like that. So I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, but even still, I think it's a good thing. And I think there's just too many leaders out there. They're quick to throw out the fraternization word, and they worry more about these unduly familiar relationships than they do suicides and like mental health issues. So
Sexual
I'm just
assaults.
like, I don't know what you think, but like to me, that's kind of ridiculous as a leader. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather have leaders open their homes and do what was done for you. It had a huge impact.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I do that with my Marines now, right? I mean, gunning master guns, it's still pretty far out there, right?
Still.
But like, you know, it doesn't have to just be Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's a UFC fight. I tell my Marines, you know, hey, you know, if you're of age, you can have some drinks at the house, but understand you're not, you know, at the end of the day, you're not going to drive. Like,
Yeah.
You can come over, we can have some beers, and then we'll watch the fight. And then after that, for me, when I do that, especially, you know, most of my Marines live in the barracks.
Yeah. And I do need you guys to paint my fence. I'm kidding. And seriously, the grass isn't going to cut itself, guys. I know this is... Anyways.
Well, like, you know, in my mind, because I tell them that you're not going to drive, that almost ensures that they're not going to go off base. They're going to go back to the barracks room because we watch the UFC fight till like 11:30 at night. But I have that, and they feel comfortable to do that, right? But then when we're at work, they know it. Job needs to get done. And if they don't get it done, they know, like, I am
If
there.
they show up, those guys love you.
Oh, yeah.
If you invite them to your house and they show up, they love you. Guaranteed.
You know what that means, though?
What's that?
Common sense leadership.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
Yeah. I wish, hey,
You're not afraid of being yourself around people, and that shows confidence. Like, why can't we understand that? Like, there's nothing wrong with you being a staff NCO as long as your intentions are pure. Because again, we've also, in the same breath that we say this stuff, we've also had conversations of, you know, Marines whenever it comes to like sexual assault, you know, things of that nature. But that comes whenever you have a solid understanding of your intentions, and nobody else besides yourself can know what your true intentions are.
Except you.
Except you, exactly. So if you telling me, because let me tell you something. How long have you been doing that? And how long did that Master Guns did that for you?
So, I mean, the 2 years I was there, I'd say after deployment, right? Like, I'd say that full year I was still there. He did that for that full year.
Okay, and what about you with your Marines? How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that since, well, when I got to Hawaii, I was a staff sergeant, and then I picked up gunny. So I think I'd say even when I was a staff sergeant, but I know I got off the depots, people were still scared of me. I'd say since the end of 2020, I've been doing that.
So for 4 years.
Yep.
Been doing that for 4 years, no incidents whatsoever.
No.
Right?
What would be a potential incident?
Intentions.
You're talking about like...
Yeah, intention. Because dude, and this is what the potential things that I'm gonna tell you is things that have actually happened.
Yeah, not at your house.
Not at my house. No.
Okay, good.
So this happened in Okinawa. I'm trying to, so that way I don't say any type of names or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think these people are out, but still, you know, I think they watch the podcast, so I don't want to. You know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, but I'm not gonna say your name. So this sergeant always used to have his junior Marines at his house. Wild things have y'all ever been to Okinawa? So
Yes,
the
just
towers.
UDP.
Okay, so the towers. Well, UDP usually has at Hansen and Schwab. Yeah. So no, I'm talking about like down south in Camp Kinser. Wild ass parties at this sergeant's house, right? And then all of a sudden, his wife, the sergeant's wife, gets all drunk. I don't know what it was, dude. This guy or this girl sits in the lap of one of his lance corporals.
There was no open seats, Albert, and I
Sure.
don't understand why you're nitpicking.
Sure. So, but the problem was that it wasn't just that. It was also text messages
Ooh.
from the spouse side, not from the Marine side. You know what I'm saying? So it was a very weird situation. But as a sergeant, I used to have this conversation with all the sergeants like, listen, dog, y'all.
So you were a sergeant at the time
Yeah,
as well?
it was peers. So I was
Got
like,
it.
listen, y'all need to stop doing this shit. I only went to one of those parties because when I first got there,
You're just trying to be part of everything.
I'm just trying to not be left out, right? So I went and I saw some of the shit that was happening. Corporals with the lance corporals, sergeants with the lance corporals. I'm like, I ain't doing this shit. This is just a time bomb. So that's when I was like, listen, y'all need to stop doing this fucking shit. It's going to bite in the ass. And you know the part that pissed me off about this specific situation? That when this sergeant obviously was drunk too, he wanted to fight this Marine, which the Marine was like, listen, like, it just happened, like, it was bad timing, right? Because she sat down in his lap and he was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And then the sergeant comes out and then sees that right then and there, right?
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, but the problem is that the sergeant allowed it. Because, because it was his wife at that time, but it was okay when the other sergeant would have this lance corporal in his lab or in her lab, or it'll be cool when the lance corporal would, be too handsy with the sergeant and all that stuff inside of his house. So he allowed
You're
that.
You're talking about female.
Female, yeah,
Lance
female
corporal.
and male. Yeah. Female lance corporal on male sergeants. So it was cool then, but whenever it's your wife that does it, but you allowed that behavior in your house.
So this is like some weird swinger vibes. Is that what we're getting here?
No weird swinger vibes. I'm talking about like people drinking, having alcohol, and not being mature enough to separate. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that stuff. That's all it is. That's when you allowed. And what happened was, the part that pisses me off, this Marine was one of the best Marines that I had, because the Marine was in my section. And the sergeant wasn't, right? But the Marine, he was just like a freaking PFC Lance Corporal. He in Okinawa. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just wants to do something. Dude, they sent this Marine away and left the sergeant there. No investigation, no nothing, swept under the rug completely. And I'm like, nah. I told him straight.
Albert said no.
I look him straight in his face.
Albert.
I look him straight in his face.
Yeah.
I look at him straight in his face like, you know what the fuck you did. No, man, but he's what I told him, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck that your wife was sitting in his lap. The reason why I don't give a fuck is because you allowed it. How many conversations have we had about the fucking parties that go on in your house and in your, because there was another sergeant, in your house and in your house? How many fucking conversations have we had? Oh, but now it's a fucking problem, right? And now I have to lose a Marine because you're fucking incompetence. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? I talked to the gunny too. I talked to the gunny same way I talked to the sergeant. That didn't go over too well. That's why I said it was unhinged.
But was Gunny there at the party?
He wasn't at the party, but he was aware of the parties. And he was aware of what's going on in the parties because he would ask. Oh, so how was the things at Sergeant Gray or so? Oh, shit, I said the name.
You did.
I was like, how are the things at this sergeant's house? And I would look at the gunny and at the lance corporal, and I would be like, what the fuck is going on here? Fast forward. So that what you see, there's no way of getting around this. Fast forward. What ended up happening was, remember I told you about the other sergeant? The other sergeant was fucking 2 lance corporals at the same time. Not as in like a threesome.
Not a threesome.
But at the same time. He would have one over and then the other one.
This was not a group counseling session.
Got one of them pregnant.
Because
the other one the other one got jealous and reported sexual assault. And that's how things. You know what happened, right? The morale of everything, like this.
Was she sexually assaulted? Actually, you don't know.
I'm not one to say.
It was just convenient.
It was only convenient, and it was so convenient too that right before this all blew up. I'm talking about days before this blew up.
Yeah.
And I was bringing it up constantly. Guess who got sent to the range? This guy right here. Got sent to the rifle range days before it fucking blew up. That's crazy how that shit works, huh? Because they knew that if I would be investigated, I'll be like, nah. The gunny knew, the staff sergeant knew, you knew, and you knew. And I've been fucked over twice already because y'all have to send Marines.
Because there's a lot of sexual.
Not literally, guys. But
stuff.
the Marine, I've had to lose 2 Marines already because the 2 Marines, the male Marine that the wife sat in his lap, the male Marine, he got sent away to foster, and then the female Marine was the one that was pregnant, which was also sent away. Both of them in my section. I was like, I had to lose 2 Marines, and I'm not getting a fucking replacement for these 2 Marines. This is some fucking bullshit. I don't know. That's just how I feel.
like you said, those are the type of scenarios you put yourself into, and luckily, I try to
Exactly.
I try to keep it, enjoyable.
You don't have parties like that.
No, not at all.
And listen, and it's okay if that happens. Like, let's say, for example, if that would have happened in my house, because I've had parties like not like that, but I've had parties where I bring in junior Marines.
Sure.
Right. And if I see some weird ass shit like that,
you're gonna say something.
I'm gonna address it.
I'm gonna say something. It's like, dog,
like, what are you doing?
No, not here.
Hey.
It's like, listen, not here. Take that shit after y'all leave. Y'all can do whatever the fuck y'all want, but not here.
Yeah, and I've had to, like, things start getting out of hand. Like, even if I've been drinking, I try to stay pretty, like, not completely blacked out, even if it's in my own house, right? But like, things start getting out of hand. I'm like, hey, I need you to leave. Like, you are not it. I had a dude throw up in my sink where we had my son's bottles. My wife lost it on him.
Oh, dude.
And then as soon as
you getting rid of those bottles.
Yeah.
You need new bottles now.
Exactly. So like, she came out yelling on what happened. She told me. I was like, bro, get out of here. You're done. Like, that's not what I have in my house. You need to respect my house. You need to respect my wife. Like, you just screwed us over. And then the next day he came up. He's like, I'm sorry. I was like, bro, what you can do, you can give me the money for the bottles. Because like, at the end of the day, I don't need the money, but out of respect for what you did and the lack of respect you had.
Yeah.
Like, you need to, like, he's like, I'm sorry, this and that. I was like, just never again. Of course, after that, I never had him over again.
I mean, at least, nobody was hurt, nothing like that. But I do think that it's good opening up your homes and stuff like that. And that's good.
Now, fast forward. You're in Hawaii. You volunteer in 2017 to go to the deer field.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. You want to take over? I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna let you. Hold
on. We skipped a bunch of years. How many years did we skip? Because you were in Hawaii. When were you in Hawaii?
2014 and 2017.
Okay, so that's where you volunteered.
Yep.
Okay, now how did we get there? Like, what was?
So 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines. Went to UDP, and then went Okinawa, Camp Schwab, and then went to Korea for 2 months, and then came back. Once I got back, though, I instantly went to Mar 4 Pack. So I'm like in a higher headquarters.
Yeah, in Foster, right?
No.
Mar 4 Pack is in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, Hawaii, Camp Smith. So across the island. That's where I was a sergeant, got pinned on in Korea. Then when I got back, I went over to Mar 4 Pack. Completely different environment. Being a sergeant and seeing like a whole bunch of master guns and majors and anybody higher. 3-star general Tulin. I was like, man, where am I?
Yeah.
Lance Corporal's walking by me, not saying anything to me. Because, they work for Master Guns, and then I'm yelling at them, and then Master Guns calls me to yell at me for yelling at his Marine.
I hate that, man. I'm sorry, dude. I hate that.
I hate that, too.
Don't yell at my Marines. It's like, well.
Yeah, and I told him, I was like, he didn't give me the proper greeting. Like, what the heck? Like, I want you to promote a sergeant. I'm motivated,
Yeah.
You're ready to hurt somebody.
And I was like, you can talk to my Master Sergeant. Transfer to the Master Sergeant. Like, I'm not having that conversation, but... So
that's smart. I wasn't that smart. I was like, you want to have that conversation? We gonna have that fucking conversation.
I'm on my way to your office right now.
So I think I'm more forward back. I had more good leadership, right? Which led me to where I went in the future. I had a Sergeant Major Sweet. He was the Sergeant Major there for the Headquarters Service Battalion at the bottom. And then Sergeant Major Cook came after that. Great leaders. They motivated me, got me to where I'm at. And then, like I said, I'm at Seaburn. We're usually stuck in the 3-shot. So we go to the 3-shop a lot, doing all the training stuff. So when you said, people think they just do the gas chamber and then leave. Now we're doing all your PFTs, CFTs, all your annual training.
Mm-hmm.
So now I was the head guy in there because it was just me as the training chief, and then we got the ammo guy in there as well. So the ammo chief, and he was a fellow sergeant, and then it was the gunnier master on whoever was taking the ops chief at that point. So, there I developed, kind of took charge of the entire company, because I lived in the barracks at the time. I wasn't married yet. And so I would take care of field day, make sure. And Marines hated me as a sergeant.
Oh, dude, he would have been my favorite sergeant.
They legit.
Sergeant that lives in the barracks and takes care of all that shit. Oh, man,
they hated me when I was knocking on their door. They're like, get outside. I don't care. You're doing field day. Like, I don't care who's in charge of you coming outside. So, like, that made me in my own way develop, right? Because I had to take charge. And some of them I still talk to a lot of them, they're out. A lot of them are out, but, they're like, what you did, we hated you back then, but, we know you were just doing your job. But
yeah.
So that got me to, my mentors were all drill instructors there. And they kind of like, I was thinking MSG, I was single.
Do any of them stick out to you that you remember?
So there was, Master Arnuja was the first one. He's the one that's trying to tell me to be a DI. he was on his way to retirement. So, he did what he could. And I think he kind of put it into my mind, right? Because I was really thinking MSG. And then I got Gunnar Sergeant Burgos, which then he got promoted to Master Sergeant there. That dude was straight 03. Like, when you envision an 03, just dirt, raunchy, everything. But,
boot blouses down to...
But...
hands in his pockets.
Oh yeah, all day. I mean,
he doesn't care.
I put my hands in my
It's
pockets
not cold.
Thank you.
It's not cold. He doesn't care.
Hey, you're going to be a Master Sergeant one day, right? Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Wow.
Yeah, buddy.
But like, he was a DI too, and he sold to me. He was parasailing, but like that didn't matter to me. I knew that if I went, San Diego side though, if I was off, I had the gas lamp to go to. I was single,
Of course.
so they persuaded me to go. I was super motivated. You're a young sergeant. You start blasting people. You start, holding the standard, and that's what got me to volunteer to be a drill instructor because I wanted to be, the legendary drill instructor, as people say, right?
What does that mean?
It means whatever it is to you. Right? And whoever calls himself legendary or you call somebody legendary, that's what it means. All right.
Gotcha.
It's different definitions.
Okay.
But that's what got me there. Re-enlisted to go to there. And then I went to DI school September 2016. Went through the whole thing. I wouldn't say it was like a shock. Like going through boot camp, and I'm sure your DI school is different from my DI school. But that's what led me there. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a pretty sleepy individual. The amount of times I got yelled at sitting in DI school,
Like in
as a staff
class?
sergeant.
Oh yeah,
As a staff sergeant, right?
as a sergeant. I had just found out I was gonna be a staff sergeant, so I got my number.
Dude, our careers are pretty much kind of like the same. Like
Yeah.
we got promoted around the same time. We got selected around the same time. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I would always get blasted, and at the time, which actually I didn't even mention this, was actually a pretty big part, is when I first enlisted in the Marine Corps, my name was Carlos Alberto Iruegas.
Oh,
Wow.
So then everybody up until I picked up staff knew me as Staff Sergeant Iruegas. I was Iruegas, and Iruegas, and people would be like Arugas when they couldn't say it, or Arugas, So, Sergeant Iruegas would be like yelling at me all day because I'm like, and then they question me, and
You're in class, and
yeah.
if you want to be politically correct, you could say that you were pecking for corn.
Yeah.
If you're not being politically correct, you're bobbing for.
for roosters.
yeah.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
But I was getting, I was getting blasted, and then they asked me, but I was listening. As much as I was falling asleep, I was listening, But I've just always been like, why do you always fall asleep? I was like, I don't know, man. I'm just tired, like all the time.
Yeah. You got tired at boot camp and never recovered.
Yeah,
that's
never,
what happened. That's what happened.
Well, then we made it to graduation, and then I got Alpha Company to be a drill instructor.
Okay.
And I still remember it instantly started bad for me.
Why?
They said 30, take your 30 days of leave. And that's what my instructor at the time, Staff Sergeant Berryhill, was like, take your 30 days. Don't let them cut it short, right?
Smart.
So I'm like, okay. So I took my 30 days, went back home to San Antonio, Texas, enjoyed my time. And then I get a phone call, I think 2 weeks out before my 30 days were up. They're like, hey, pickup week is like a week before I was supposed to check in. And I was like, okay, well, I don't get back till my 30 days.
If not, you're not going to get signed off.
No, not even. We're not even close to that yet.
Okay.
Oh, man.
They're like, your check-in date is on F3. I was like, okay, well, I'll be back on F3. And they instantly didn't like that.
Of course.
So they persuaded me to check in, but I legit didn't get back till that Thursday, the day before pickup day.
Okay.
And
So you did come back early.
I did.
Why? You just were they laying it on pretty thick? What were they saying anything?
No, I felt like if I was going to be part of it, I should probably be there for the F days.
Did they give you like an ultimatum? Like he said, you're not going to get signed off if you don't?
No, there was no signed off. I think I talked to at the time my drill instructor, FA or whatever, right? Staff Sergeant Berryhill, he's like, if you really want to get the feel of being in your full first cycle, he's like, be there for the F days. He's like, but it's on
Are
you.
you fucking telling me that the full cycle is what, 90 days?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. 90 days. You telling me that if you miss 3 fucking days, you don't get your full cycle? Well, technically, you don't get your full cycle, but 3 days are going to dictate the rest of the 87
not
days.
that big of a deal.
They're like the most pivotal.
They're painful. I'll tell you that. I don't know if they're pivotal. They're painful as hell.
I bet they're painful. I bet,
72 hours. If I put one DI next to one, this guy went through, the first 3 days. This guy didn't. You'd be like, he has been in a concentration camp.
Yeah,
and this guy has been freaking living with Willy Wonka.
Yeah, my cousin, dude. My cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, my cousin.
It's abusive out there.
It's fucking abusive.
Yeah, so I ultimately made the decision myself.
Okay.
And I was like, I'll be part of the team. I could do the walkout, so then the recruits know, I'll, in a way, like I said, I volunteered. I wanted to, I was motivated. I wanted to be that team player.
Okay.
And then I checked in, early, came out first cycle. And then, yeah, those F days were
hell.
No joke. They were hell. And like, the worst thing for me was the headaches. I never had headaches growing up, and that took me out. I'd be going to the head and putting my head on the bulkhead.
Because it was cold?
Oh, because it was cold. Oh, man. Absolutely miserable. But what sucks about that one, I didn't even get that full cycle. Because 4 weeks later, I got put in a quiz. PMC.
Wow.
Oh, my God. How the fuck do I hate that? This is
But that headache, what was it from screaming, the campaign cover, both?
It was from screaming.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd scream that long every single time. And I think, the lack of eating, the staying up.
Yeah.
I thought, I knew what it was to be tired, and then that was a whole nother
What was it
aspect.
like being a new drill instructor? You still remember pretty well?
Yeah, so for me, it was miserable, absolutely miserable. I was trying to be a team player, be a part of it, and then I think those physical aspects really made it hard because I had never felt, like I said, headaches that bad or migraines, whatever you want to call it, that they felt like. The feet started hurting. Felt like needles just, inside my feet, and I could not get a break off of it. And every time I tried to take, like a 15-minute nap, hey, drill instructor, who's on the boys? Who's going to run to the head when they go from the classroom, So then I am, running and screaming, trying to do that. Or some people probably say I never ran and screamed, but it's okay.
Is that what they would say about you?
Yeah, that's probably what they say about me, but it's okay.
Like other guys you were there with?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Oh,
But that's fine. You know what? Because I left with the ribbon. That's all that matters.
Okay.
But no, it was absolute misery. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's probably the hardest, like, first 4 days I felt like definitely worse than being a recruit.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what a lot of people don't
100%.
understand. That's what a lot of people don't understand. People think that the recruits have it bad, but the drill instructors have it even freaking worse.
Much
In my
worse.
opinion.
Oh, yeah.
In my
Much
opinion,
worse.
drill instructors have it worse.
Yeah. Okay.
Imagine being in Paris Island though and getting bit by sand fleas, doing the same thing, humidity. You know how hard it got to be being a
What
drill
are you
instructor in Paris
complaining about?
Island?
You guys get out of the rack. You guys get up at 10 a.m. You're in bed. You call it bed. We go to bed at freaking 6 p.m. You're out there for a solid 30 minutes. You go back in the air-conditioned squad bay. You see what I got to deal with? Anyways, so 4 weeks and they send you to McQuist. What was up with that?
So because during the high school we do a lot of the pool work as well, so then you can identify who's
a
the
good
better
swimmer.
Yeah. So they sent me to that because I was the one for Alpha Company. I think it was me and another individual, and then that dude fell out, so then it was technically just on me. So went through that. I remember hearing of McQuist, but I was like, man, that's crazy. I'm not gonna do that. And then of course being there, pretty much being forced to do it. Which at the end of the day, if anything, I got my McQuist tattoo right here. I'm proud of that I did it, but it sucked because I didn't get that full cycle, so I felt like I was falling behind. Because everybody else just got their full cycle. Because I came back the week they were graduate Marine Week. That's when I graduated the McQuist course.
Got it. And then you picked up the next cycle.
Yeah, the next cycle I picked up. So I think that time we had 3 and a P, and then I picked up that next cycle.
3 and a P was
3 and a P means you get 3 weeks off. You're not totally off, but depends on the company. Depends on how many, how things have been shaken out with the shipping schedule. But yeah, they're pretty easy days, and then you have that pickup week. The P is that pickup
Yeah,
week.
it's to help like that.
You set
Yeah,
up
because you meet the recruits on that Friday.
You
of
set
that
up
P.
the teams. Yes.
Right. Okay.
You got your teams at Outpost
Okay,
from the
okay.
previous cycle.
Yeah.
Right. And then you guys do a little coordinating on the break. Depending on what your billet is, and then like I said, you're enjoying your family time to the best of your ability, getting fat and happy. And then that pickup week, you come in. There's some required classes.
Yeah.
I don't. What do you got to take, like an SOP test still?
SOP test. You got to weigh in. They give you like some other classes, like for your family to ensure they understand the schedule. You get your CPR classes, make sure everything's good on that. I think if you're missing some annual training, they'll do that.
Now, a lot of people that we've had on the podcast, they say that drill instructor, it was a great time for them. Was that your experience?
Not for me.
Really? Why?
My personality clashing a lot. So like I said, I got there as a sergeant. So my first cycle was a sergeant. And then as soon as, they graduated, I think they graduated March 31st. That next day I got promoted to staff sergeant.
Got it.
So then that next cycle, I was a staff sergeant. And then I knew, I'm a staff sergeant now. I'm not a sergeant. I don't have to keep quiet. I was just waiting until I got my number so then I could speak up more. Even though I don't agree with the term Bobby drill instructor, right? I absolutely hate it.
You didn't like it, but they called you Bobby all the time.
Yeah, but then I just called all the boots that are there would call me Bobby. You're just a boot, bro. I don't care. You missed the war. Bye. But it was miserable for me just because, my personality clashing, right? It was hard for me to, I guess, accept that I was at the bottom of the totem pole with the experience I guess I had. Like you said, when you went to be a drill instructor, you were 6 years in, you said? And
yeah, not even.
Yeah. So, I was already 8 years in, and I have this, first tap or F-tap coming in, and then, he's a senior drill instructor, which, you did your time on the depot. I get it. You're a sergeant. But I'm like, bro, you're still a sergeant. I'm a staff sergeant. Don't disrespect me like that. In front of the recruits, I'll play the part, but when we're behind closed doors, I'm still a staff sergeant. Don't get that twisted.
How does that go over how did that go for you?
So for me, like I said, they let that billet hold them so high behind doors, at least the people that I met, right? And it's, as I went through boot camp, when I went through DI school, it changed, right? Or being a drill instructor changed towards the end, but it was hard. He was a senior drill instructor.
But I'm talking about specifically when you will have that conversation with a sergeant that was a senior drill instructor, right? And all of a sudden you go like, dog, don't talk to me like that.
That's literally how it's it. I'm like, bro, don't talk to me like that. I'm a staff sergeant. Straight up. I was like, don't get it twisted. Now, if he corrected me in front of the recruits, I said, I'll play the part all day. I won't get upset at that because at that point, that is the mission, right? We are doing it. But it's like when we get behind closed doors and it's those passive jabs and we're in the duty hut, you say something to me and I'm like, bro, or he tries to belittle me not in front of the recruits, right? Or even in front of the recruits, I could be like, don't ever do that again. I'm a staff sergeant. You got me fucked up.
Go.
What's up?
I want to know how you feel because I can guarantee you were that sergeant telling that staff sergeant some shit.
You know what? I never did actually.
Really, Barry?
You boys got high.
Okay.
There might have been one or two times when I lost my cool, but it wasn't in front of the recruits. My experience in Charlie Company, we were not put in positions like that a lot to where because I was a sergeant up until I completed my, I want to say my third cycle. And on graduation day, I picked up staff sergeant.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
But 3 cycles, that's a good amount of time. You've been there for a good bit because that's not including DI school. So that's like your first
almost
year,
a year,
including DI school. That's a long time. And, I was never really in a position when you would go to hot scoop at night, you'd have senior drill instructors in there. They were running the meeting. I wasn't running the meeting. So I didn't go in there and try to say or do anything weird or whatever the case is. I'm not going to lie. I did drink the Kool-Aid though, things were the way they were. Charlie Company was very, very segregated. Okay. So third hats spoke to third hats, Jay spoke to Jays, seniors to seniors. And the only people outside of your billet that you could really talk to was on your team. But I was never put in a position where I had to, or felt like I had to belittle someone who outranked me. I never did. And I was only on teams with guys that were the same rank as me. So, and those are the guys I really cared about. If that wasn't a guy on my team, because Charlie Company was that segregated, let's say he's a new drill instructor and he's a staff sergeant, I'm a J as a sergeant, that's a big difference. I would go to his J and I'd be like, hey man, you need to handle your team. Whatever the case is, if I had a beef, I'm not going to go to him. I have nothing to say to him. And that's just, I don't know, maybe that's how I looked at it.
it's still like that a lot. I don't know now, right? When I was there, it still was like that, and I think that was the scenario we're at. We're on pickup week. Chiefs came in and talked to us, and they're like, does anybody have any questions? I said, I'm newly promoted staff sergeant, trying to get the job done. Finally gonna do my first full cycle, and I raised my hand for a question. Asked something about I think the glow belts that we did last cycle that they didn't address, so I asked about it. So I was like, I asked a question, and then, the chief answered it. He's a staff sergeant. And then he walks out, and then that senior drill instructor that was a sergeant steps up. He's like, can everybody stay behind? And I'm just, I'm sitting there. And then he goes, I don't know why I have Bobby as drill instructors asking the chiefs questions when they got their own team. And I'm literally sitting there. I was like, is he talking about me? And then he looks over at me. He's like, that's you, Bobby. And I was like, well, first off, I was like, I'm a fucking staff sergeant. Yeah. I was like, and if I'm a Bobby, you're a boot. I was like, and I don't know where you've been the last 5 years, but you missed the war, so you might want to go find it.
Yeah, I mean, he put you in a position where he challenged you publicly.
And that was my issue.
I would have never done something like that. I had that happen to me on a graduation. I'm not going to say who it is because, but anyways, we were out there doing photos. And I pulled a classmate of mine aside, and we were Jays. And I said, you should have been here because I had to tell your Bobby to get his vehicle off of the apron because your recruits were loading it up. He was the only one doing that. Nobody else did that, And I didn't make a scene. I didn't correct his Bobby. He pulled his Bobby over there, and he said, hey, did this happen, this, that, and the third? I just stood there. Okay, well, then the series gunner sergeant pulls everybody in, and he starts going in, and it was a scenario like that. He was a staff sergeant, though I was a sergeant, and it was a scenario a lot like that. And I basically stepped up, man, because that's the kind of person I am. Yeah. I'm not going to be publicly challenged like that. I wasn't trying to be a weirdo either, but I'm like, I have a problem with it. He challenges me again in front of everybody, and it did get very confrontational. I will not lie.
But what do you mean by define confrontational?
I told him if he said something to me, again, like what he said, I was going to crack his head open in front of everybody on the theater steps. Basically like that, with a lot more profanity and a lot more aggression. I told him straight up, you're barking up the wrong, I don't know where you come from. I'm not a 10th grade English teacher. I'm really out here. I've been out here. I'm from California. I know what goes on around here. And I'm telling you, you say one more freaking offhand word to me, dude. We're going to find out. We're going to find out right now. And I really don't care.
That's the thing.
Because I didn't talk to people like that.
Yeah.
That was my thing. I would never have come at you and been like, you're a liar,
problem.
You're a this, you're a that. Because as a man, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
You got to defend yourself.
Oh, yeah, all day.
You have to, right?
Because if not, it's just going to continue.
It's going to continue. And I would never challenge you as a man. Hey, dog, you need to do your job. The fire watchers aren't doing this, that, and the third. I'm not going to call you a liar and tell you ain't a man and challenge you as a person. I'm going to say, hey, dog, your house is jacked up. You need to fix it.
But with that being said, is it still right if it's a staff sergeant to a sergeant? Because like you just said, it's not a problem in between ranks or billets. It's in between a problem of you disrespecting another person.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, right, on the situation. Mine got very, very escalated because I've always been the kind of person, we'll take it all the way. And I'm talking all the way. That's the only speed I speak, And that was one thing that a lot of guys that knew me in my career that, when they see me in some of those moments, they're like, damn, I didn't really know you were like that. I'm like, I've been like this since I was 13, bro. And that's just what it is. And you
get Long Beach, California really quick.
I keep it professional all the time. But when you're going to come at me in a certain way, like, I'm sorry. I don't speak back down, Yeah. I don't speak that language. So, and that's why I always showed guys respect.
Yeah.
Hey, man. And when I had new drill instructors, I didn't play those weird games with them. This is what I told them. I kept this straight up. I said, look, here's the deal. You're going to be on deck every day. Okay. You're not going to be doing anything that does not need to be done. I'm not going to fill a 5x8 card with tasks that don't actually need to be done, that aren't actually going to make us a better platoon, because I ain't got time for it. You're going to have assigned duties, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you, and then you got to do it. And if you mess it up, it's on you, man. Yeah. If you got a question, ask. That was it. That's how I kept it with I didn't like go to battalion to make a copy and late at night and they'd come back and then I'd send them to make another copy. I didn't do that crap. I'd be like, hey dog, make sure the packs are good for tomorrow.
See, but that's the kind of attitude I feel though. Like I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna learn the job, right? Yeah. Like I said, the fact that he put me in that position, I had to speak up.
You have to.
I don't care. I really don't care.
How did that go? Did he put you? Did he after that? Did he like sit you up? You know?
Oh no, he was upset about it. Like we
100%.
We were butting heads all day. But like I said, in front of the recruits, I played the part though because I respected.
But was he your senior?
No, he wasn't mine.
Well, that's good. But
Yeah,
he's
so-
still. I mean, it ain't that big of a company.
So like at the end of the day, like I'm not gonna take personal jabs at you.
Yep.
If you don't try to come at me sideways, I do not care what you have on here, right?
Sure.
Well, I might joke around. We all talk. You know, everybody's a
Yep.
dude to somebody. I'll run my mouth, have a good joke, but I do not care what's on there. If you're a good human being and you treat me with respect, all day.
That's what it's all about.
You're gonna have me behind your back or me in front of you, leading you where you need to go.
Yeah.
Right?
You know something that we say in Puerto Rico. I don't know if they say this in Mexico. Entre chiste y chiste se escapa la verdad. In between jokes, the truth comes out.
Yeah.
Entre chiste y chiste se escapa la verdad. That's why. And
People try to joke with you, but on the low, they really
feel that way.
Yeah, they do.
That's what I learned in recruiting duty. Recruiting duty, that's when I learned, because in recruiting duty is very passive aggressive behavior, right? It's like, that's Sergeant Ramos, this and this and that. And then it wasn't until my wife told me that it was like entre chiste y chiste se escapa la verdad. In between those little jokes, there's some type of truth in it. Well, and then that's when I started really pulling back. I'm like, hold on a second, now I'm not gonna keep doing this shit. And that's when I came out to see it's like, yeah, these people really felt that way.
So when I was at J, I was on an all sergeant team, right? And then I remember because I had a situation like that, and I'll never forget Sergeant De La Rosa. I love you, man. Wherever you're at, please shoot me a DM. We're like this. We're family. Me and this guy, thick as thieves. And T19, he showed up for us, and at that time, that was CCX. That was the CCX course, and I was pissed because I wanted him to be there for pickup. I didn't say nothing to him. Now, in my mind, what am I thinking? He's getting slayed.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I mean, not only am I never going to do this guy a favor, he's not getting signed off. That's automatic, right? But he showed up and worked so hard. He won me over in the first day. Because you know what the CCX is like.
Yeah.
And as a new drill instructor.
Oh, you're on it, just nonstop.
This guy, I'm telling you, he was that good. Now, the next cycle we worked together, and I had just pinned on staff sergeant. I was on my second J cycle. I was the senior J, lead J. So you're, coordinating all the houses and all the other Js and stuff like that, right? Well, I had a situation where I had a guy that worked for me, Staff Sergeant Legrone, okay? And this guy, I love you, Legrone. You know I do. He was as soft as margarine. And everybody thinks that DIs are just these hardcore dudes, whatever, right? But he pulled me aside one day and he's like, hey, dog, I've been in the Marine Corps for 18 years, man.
God damn.
You know what I'm saying?
You see it.
You've been in for freaking 6 years, Barry. All right? So, we're going to get this stuff straight, man, but we're not going to play any of this weird stuff, okay? I'm out here doing my best and everything. And I thought about it and I was like, he's got a good point, man.
I can respect that.
He was so like, you wanted to like the guy. You did. You didn't want to hate him. And it taught me a lot about leadership because it was like, I had to put this guy in positions where he was good. Now, don't get me wrong. There were still times where he pissed me off. I remember we ran a PFT up north and I come outside, or I'm in the duty head trying to change, right? And I hear Legrone out there and he's about to hygiene him. He's my third hat. Okay, I don't know what it was like when you were there, but like third hats, you ain't hygiening no damn buddy. You know what I'm saying? And he was like trying to give him a shower and everything else. And he's over here talking about 20 minutes. And I'm like, I came sliding out of the duty hut like freaking Tom Hanks or whatever his name is.
20 minutes. How the fuck do you count down?
And I didn't disrespect him though. I zeroed him out. I said, drill instructor, come to the duty hut. I sent De La Rosa out there, and then De La Rosa, being De La Rosa, he was on left sock for 15 minutes. I'm like, we got to go somewhere. Okay, we got to be somewhere,
Man.
So that's how I handle those situations. But I'm sorry to hear that, you you have that kind of unprofessionalism, because it's a tight knit group, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, and people don't forget that stuff.
And the thing is like, it wasn't just that incident; it was multiple incidents, right?
Sure.
I felt like nobody really cared about me at the time.
Yeah.
It got to a point, I think, one time, like, I didn't know I had pneumonia and bronchitis. I didn't know that, of course. I just knew I felt like crap.
Yeah.
Like, I walked in there, I was like 18.
Probably both.
Yeah. Well, I did have both. But, like, I come to find out, like 18, you're like, I'm done. Like, I can't run the deck right now. Like, I feel miserable. He's like, I don't care. Go out there and run the deck. So I'm running the deck. And, of course, the day I feel the worst, the recruits want to absolutely be, like, the dumbest. Mm-hmm. So then, I'm going through it. I get that second win, and I'm, slaying them, whatever. I probably have more than 10 recruits on the quarter deck because I don't care at this moment. And I just, like, my sole mission was just to destroy everybody. As soon as that was done, he's like, I'll just put you on linen. So then I went to go do linen. He's like, you can just sleep on linen and sleep it off. So we went to linen. So linen, you take them, and the recruits do all the linen, and the supply people got them. So I'm resting, and I'm trying to chug water, trying to feel better. And then I feel even worse. I go back, try to turn the keys into the motor T, the S4. And they're like, oh, no, man, you got to go fill it up. So I go fill it up, and as I'm going up to the motor pool, I, like, go up to get into the truck, and I fall. Like, my body gives out. I'm done.
Damn.
Like, just shuts down. I hit the deck. My head hits the ground. The civilian dude found me, and there's, like, there's video of it. Just me, my body I just crashed.
Damn.
And I end up in the ER. The ambulance comes, and I'm in the back of the ambulance. And, as soon as I look at my phone, though, where the hell you at? Answer your phone, blah, 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 just going down the list. And then I finally answer, and they're like, where the hell are you at? You're supposed to be at Chow right now. They're yelling at me, and I'm like, I'm in the back of the ambulance right now. And then they come, they're like, oh, are you okay? Oh, blah. And I was like, yeah, they got to take him to Balboa. Went to Balboa, recover. They're like, yeah, you have, bronchitis, pneumonia. We got to do a CAT scan because, you hit your head on the ground. All I was asking was, man, if anything, a day, because I never complained. That day was just not it. And then they ended up losing me for 3 days because I got 3 days of bed rest. Mm. And then when I came back, everybody's like, are you okay, man? Are you good? Hey, don't PT too hard. I was like,
oh, yeah.
You care
Same thing happened to my cousin. You know what his code name or code sign is? Rhabdo. Because he had rhabdo.
Yeah.
But, like, that's what showed me, like, they didn't care. Like, at the end of the day, like, they just didn't care. And that's when I kind of, like, clocked out. And I was like, I'm here to do a mission. I'm going to get that mission done. I don't care what these drill instructors think of me. I slept in my car that first year.
Yeah.
And not because they made me, because I did not want to be in that duty hut with them. And they're like, it looks bad for the company. I was like, I don't care. If they want to know why I sleep in there, tell them to come talk to me, and I'll tell them. It's because I don't like any of you. And I do not want to. You all leave, I will sleep in that duty hut. But if not, I'm going to sleep outside of my car, and I will be here 15 minutes prior, ready for the day. So, like, that was a lot of it. And then when I spoke my mind to the sergeant majors and, telling them that...
They didn't care.
Well, when they do the commander's inspection, and then the DIs are getting checked out by the sergeant major, that's when I spoke my mind. And what I was taught by Sergeant Major Cook was, if a sergeant major ever asks you, how you feeling or about something, be honest. And I was honest. And he's like, what was the hardest thing for you this cycle? I said, dealing with other drill instructors. And he's like, what do you mean by that? I was like, we say that we're the top 10% of the Marine Corps. I was like, but I don't ever see that sometimes. I was like, it's easy for a recruit to do what you say. To lead a recruit is easy. You tell them to jump, they're going to jump. They're not even going to ask how high. They'll jump off a third deck if you want them to do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was like...
They have.
Yeah, they have.
They have.
Unfortunately. But I was like, leading Marines are different. You can't just tell a Marine to jump. You kind of got to give them the whiff them, or they're going to look at you a little sideways if it's off, I was like, I don't think some of these drill instructors have ever led Marines, and it shows. Yeah. And as soon as I said that, why'd you say that would you accept that answer from a recruit? I was like, no. They're like, why should I accept that from you? Because I'm a staff sergeant. Like, I'm being honest.
I was just going to say.
I did go through boot camp already.
I'm going to go with, I'm not a recruit, and that's why.
So, like,
final answer.
Final. Lock that one in.
The best part is, like, well, that's a good point. I was like, I know.
Fucking shit is a good point.
That's why I made it.
So after that, it's like, your attitude's toxic to the company. We're going to send you on quota. You're going to go to the pool, and maybe you'll come back, a little more, a little better. Truly take that time to, better yourself. And I was like, if that's toxic, I was like, but drill instructors going out, getting a little, and then coming back in the middle of the night and leaving somebody who's not signed off with the recruits to mark the chow. That's not toxic. I'll take my attitude all day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so that was it. But then, as the culture changes, and my third head at the time, when I finally came back after the pool, my third head became my senior. I came back as a third head. Because both full cycles, I was a kill hat for both. And then that second cycle, I went from kill to the prac. And then the senior left. So then I went up to J and to third phase.
Yeah.
So when I came back, they made me back third hat. And then that time that my third hat became my senior, and I was sleeping in that dude hut every night. Every night that I could be in there, I was there with him. Why? Because we worked together. He knew that my hard work is what counted. He's like, I know how you work, man. I know you don't like the bullshit. I know you don't like any of that. He's like, just do the job. And I did the job. And even my kill head, he's like, man, I've heard a lot about you. And he's like, but your work ethic, he's like, that's what shows.
Now, let me ask you this. Did you ever reach senior?
No.
Yeah. So you left there as what was his highest billet that you held?
J.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
I don't care because I got the ribbon at the end of the day.
Yeah, because it's political. Those fucking senior drill instructor positions.
They
and
must have hated you.
Oh,
There must have been some hate.
So I told you I was Staff Sergeant Hidalgas. So half my half of my Marines now, right? They know me as Staff Sergeant Hidalgas, and then the other half know me as Staff Sergeant de los Santos.
Yeah.
So that was the difference. So when I came back, all the new drill instructors didn't know who I was because I changed my last name while I was at the pool. So then, when I came back, they're like, "You're Staff Sergeant Hidalgas," and I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "I've heard a lot about you," and I was like, "I'm just here to work, man." So I did that cycle,
Yeah.
and I didn't do as many cycles either. Maybe that's why they hate me too, because then I got hurt in my back. My lower back got messed up, and I had to walk with a cane. I couldn't even walk anymore. So then I got taken out the last 8 months of my time on the depot.
Okay.
So now you obviously made it from that. You said that you had the ribbon, right? You had some bad experiences, and that's what I really love about the podcast, because it shares different experiences. We have people here that says like, well, I want to, even though I had a horrible time at the depot, that's the best time I've ever had, and then I would do it again, right? Now, what now? Like what do you have? Obviously, you left the depot. You are in Yuma, Arizona. You're stationed in Yuma right now.
Yeah.
You're here in advanced corps. So obviously, you have career progression. Like you're trying to stay in the Marine Corps. What do you want to do now?
I mean, I definitely want to get to retirement. Make it a 20.
Okay.
So get to retirement, and on the way there, I want to inspire and motivate Marines. And I think that's the biggest reason why, I got on TikTok, I guess. At first, I was kind of iffy about it. My wife, she's the one that first showed me, and I was kind of like, I was always into like videography, doing things like that, but I was kind of off put about it. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And then as I think the first video that went viral was like my son getting pooped on 2 weeks of him being born. And I people call us bad parents because we recorded it instead of cleaning it off, but I found it hilarious, whatever.
They called you bad parents? Like that happens.
Yeah. So
like your kids are just... Again.
I didn't get it, but I was like, whatever, and then like slowly my wife's like, I did a Modelo video, and like that blew up. And then of course I did a Marine one, and then that blew up. My wife's like, I think
Modelo gotta love you. Hey, Modelo, the people from fucking Modelo, sponsor this freaking guy. Free beer for the rest of it. I promise you he'll be happy.
Well, then I think after that, my wife's like, you gotta cater to your audience. She's like, and I think a lot of them are probably Mexicans who drink Modelos and Marines, right? Or the military in general, right? And I think just me inspiring them is what really motivates me. Because even like, being here at Camp Pendleton, I've definitely seen a lot more Marines, and a lot of them recognize me. And, they're like, especially la raza, I los llevo y andan ahí como, hey, Gunny, me das motivación, me caes bien, like, you look so cool. Like, you motivate me to see somebody so, actually Mexicans came from nothing to be up there.
Do you read the subtitles?
That's right.
You read the subtitles when you start speaking Spanish?
Of course.
So, like, for me, those 5 years that I have left, I want to, of course, give the Corps what they deserve, because they've given us all these opportunities to take it to retirement and, get that, that future for me. But I have to give back by giving back to the Marines.
Sure.
And it's giving them every ounce that I have. And I tell my wife, and she was my wife was a Marine as well. She was out in Yuma before I met her, and then while I was in the depot, I met her. So I love her to death. Alejandra dos Santos, love her. Gave me my son. She made me a father. That's why I love her so much.
Awesome, man.
She understands it. I think that's what's great about it, right? And I tell her, it's like, it's hard because I have, you and my son and my family have to make sure you're taken care of. And I was like, but the Marines are technically it as well, especially coming up in the ranks. Like now that I'm a gunny, I think in the S3 shop right now, I have probably like 10 Seaburn Marines in total.
Yeah, that's a lot of Seaburn Marines. God damn.
And we have kind of spread around, but I think in the shop itself, I think I'm in charge of like 7 Marines.
Sure.
But, I told her, I was like, I have to make sure y'all are good, and I have to make sure they're good. And in order to do that, I have to be there for them. When they need something, when they're going through a hard time, and I'm about it. If they're going through struggles,
you got to be there. I'm
like, I'm not a professional, but I will listen to you if that's all it takes. But if it doesn't, go seek the help. I don't have any problem you seeking the help. I've even like if you're really going through a hard day and you need a half day, talk to me offline and be like, hey, Gunny, like, I'm going through this. Can I get the afternoon off because of this? I can do the job. I did not make it a gunny without doing the job that I do in the S3 shop. I know how to do it. I do not need you there. I'm there to guide you, and you do the job. And when you can't get something done because like, hey, call, the AFOBs, tell them that we need, a verifier. And then they call my, Lance Corporal calls, and they're giving the runaround. That's when I'm like, give me the phone.
Yeah.
You're giving me a verifier. Do you understand that? I do not care. Do I have to call first sergeant, this and that? Job gets done. I tell them, I'm there to have your back all day. But if you're not here, you want to take leave, you need help, take it. Yeah. I am here to do the job without you.
So in other words, this next 5 years, what you want to do is you want to ensure that you keep taking care of your Marines at whatever capacity is that the Marine Corps allows you to do it, whether it be as a master guns or as a first sergeant. Quick question before we close. Are you putting Fs or are you putting Ms?
I'm putting M.
That's what I thought. Hey,
I think you can still impact Marines. You can still impact Marines as a mass sergeant as you can a first sergeant. It's on you to get out there and inspire and be around the Marines. If you don't do it, that's your decision.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tough.
No, he's right. I mean, the best, some of the best leaders I had, that's what they were. I didn't have first sergeants. I was an air winger,
Yeah.
For me, I wanted to be a first sergeant because I did want to get outside of my MOS. For me, that was the only deciding factor.
I'm surprised you haven't gone chief warrant officer.
That option got presented to me as a sergeant, and I'm not gonna lie, the amount of chief warrant officers that were Seaburn and the jobs that they would do that wasn't Seaburn because they were just getting pulled left to right, tasked out. I did not want any of those problems.
Yeah.
Well, Carlos, I definitely appreciate you bringing your energy, brother, and bringing your knowledge to the podcast. I appreciate you coming down, brother. Anytime that you are here in Southern California, as a matter of fact, you're just over there in Yuma. You're like 3. You're not that far, man. You're always welcome to come back over here and sit down with us. If you feel that we're talking about something that you are extremely passionate about, bro, you're more than welcome to come out here and talk to us. Guys, we have reached the conclusion of part 2 of this podcast. Barry, where can people reach out to you at?
Instagram at bull5 was hard to say. It was a mouthful, and it's like 4 letters. Instagram at bull5277, TikTok at bull52772, YouTube, the A to B podcast. We are going to be getting it on Spotify.
Yep.
Hit the follow button, subscribe, share, comment. Drop in the comments anybody that you want to have, you want to see as a guest on this podcast. I have been in touch with a few people. The female who claimed that we will be sexually assaulted if we join the Marine Corps.
That's a tough one.
More guests coming your way. Click the link in my bio. Schedule a call. The call is free, and the change will last you a lifetime.
Awesome. Carlos, where can people reach out to you?
You can find me on TikTok, L_Gunny, and then on Instagram, you can get me on Mojo_one and only.
Awesome, guys. Check out some of these videos. I promise that they will bring extreme value into your life. Go to the link in my bio. Schedule a phone call for me. As you can see, anything that has to do with real estate, I'm your guy. I will see you guys in the next episode. Have a good one.
Welcome to the